Hi, and welcome to Teaching Tip Tuesday, brought to you by the Center for Inclusive Teaching and Learning at UWSP. The sandwich method, in which we surround a criticism between two compliments or positive statements, is a popular approach to providing criticism to students. The intent is to dilute the sting of criticism by overbalancing it with positive feedback, hopefully preventing damage to self-esteem. But this form of feedback is not always the most effective. Students may be confused by the abundance of praise and weigh the positive elements of the feedback more heavily than the criticism, concluding that there's really no need to improve anything. Alternatively, the sandwich method is used frequently enough that students can recognize it when they see it, and some may perceive it as insincere or manipulative, discrediting the positive comments which they deem to be present only to make them not feel bad, rather than to inform them of the strengths of their performance. When deciding how to best provide constructive criticism to students, it's important to use multiple critical methods rather than relying solely on the sandwich method. Here are some alternative methods for delivering constructive criticism to college students, each supported by the principles of educational psychology and communication research. Let's begin with the COIN method. COIN is an acronym for context, observation, impact, and next steps. How does it work? You describe the specific context, the observable behavior, and the impact the behavior had. You follow this with the next steps that the student may take. The COIN method is a variant of specific task-level feedback, and it's well supported in the feedback literature. Studies show that feedback that's specific, neutral, and tied to observable behavior enhances learning significantly, unlike vague feedback or feedback that's interpreted as personal. This improves not only the clarity of the criticism, but it also focuses the students on the consequences of their choices or behaviors and informs them on why different choices or behaviors might be preferable. It also provides actionable solutions. This works because it focuses on facts, not personal judgments, and helps students see the direct consequences of their actions. It can be used for critical comments about behavior in class, but can also be applied when grading student work. So, for example, you might give feedback to a student about their dominance of a discussion by saying something like, "In yesterday's group discussion, I noticed you interrupted your teammates several times, which seemed to limit their chance to contribute. Let's work on balancing speaking times moving forward." An example of assignment feedback might be something like, "In the final paragraph of your reflection paper on classroom management theories, you used conversational language like, 'I think this idea slays.' This reduces the professional tone expected in academic writing and may detract from the seriousness of your analysis. Using a more formal academic voice would better align with college-level expectations." Next, we have the GROW method. GROW is an acronym for Goal, Reality, Options, and Way Forward. When using the GROW model, the instructor tries to identify the goal, that is, what the student was trying to achieve, the reality, or what the current performance actually is, and identifying some options for what the student might do to close the gap between the goal and the reality. And then the instructor allows the student to specify the way forward, that is, what they will actually do. This was originally developed for coaching, but the GROW model can be adapted for constructive academic feedback that helps students reflect on their work and plan for improvement. The GROW model works by tapping into goal orientation, metacognition, development of self-efficacy and autonomy through their choice of option, and supports self-regulation and planning, allowing students to exercise control over their learning. Here's an example. In your feedback to a student, you might identify the goal, saying, "You aim to develop a well-supported argument about the ethical implications of AI in education. That's an ambitious and relevant topic. Great choice." The reality. Right now, your thesis is clear, but your supporting arguments rely heavily on opinions rather than evidence. In paragraphs 2 and 4, for instance, you make strong claims, but don't include citations or examples from the reading or outside sources. As for options, To strengthen your paper, you might consider revisiting the assigned texts to pull in direct evidence or search for a few peer-reviewed articles to support your thesis. You could also outline each paragraph to ensure that every claim is backed by data or theory. Now, for the way forward, the student decides this. In this case, the student may decide to focus on two key claims and finding one new scholarly source for each, then incorporating the evidence from the new sources into their argument and explaining how this supports their thesis as a means of improving their credibility and the depth of their analysis. This form of feedback provides clarity and actionable suggestions to the students, but leaves the final decision in their court. Let's imagine this from the student perspective. You've compared what you think they intended to do with their actual performance with very clear feedback on what is lacking. You provide options of ways to strengthen the performance. This form of feedback provides clarity and actionable suggestions to the students, but leaves the final decision in their court. Next, let's consider the feed-forward approach. Rather than focusing only on what went wrong in the current assignment, the feed-forward approach emphasizes what the student can do differently the next time. This works because it's future-oriented and reduces defensiveness by shifting from blame and how the mistakes made impact the score to what can be learned from the mistakes in order to make improvements in subsequent efforts. An example might be leaving feedback like, your thesis was a bit unclear in the draft. In your next version, try stating your main argument more directly in the introduction. That will help guide your reader more effectively. The concept of feed forward is feedback aimed explicitly at improving future performance, and it's well documented. It helps students transfer feedback into action, making them more aware of the applicability of learning from one assignment to the next. The reflective questioning method is also very valuable. It works by asking students to reflect on their performance first, then providing guidance toward insights. This works because it promotes metacognition and student ownership of learning. It engages the students in self-evaluation and provides the instructor with a more constructive starting point for targeting their feedback to the student. So, for example, after a presentation, you might ask the students to describe how they think their presentation went, what parts felt strong, and where they thought there might be room to grow. Then, you as the instructor can offer targeted feedback based on their reflections. You could also ask students to complete a checklist or rubric to help them consider their performance in light of the standards of achievement that you've outlined for performance, which can help build their skill in understanding both expectations and any additional targeted feedback that you've given them. Reflective questioning is grounded in the theory of self-regulation of learning and metacognition. Prompting learners to reflect fosters goal-oriented thinking and self-directed improvement. Reviews also link reflection and metacognition with deeper learning, which always improves future work. Finally, we have the empathetic framing method. Using this method, you begin with empathy, acknowledging effort or context, then give clear feedback. This shows that you care that students tried and thereby reduces the emotional sting of criticism, making students more receptive to that criticism. Teacher and student feedback dialogues like this, that include empathetic and normalizing language, boost student engagement and foster supportive instructor-student interactions, reducing the stressful components of criticism. An example might be saying, I see that you put a lot of effort in despite juggling a really heavy course load. One area to tighten is your citation formatting. It's affecting the professionalism of your work. Do you want to go over it together? Empathy in an instructor fosters trust coming from students. Over-reliance on the sandwich method of providing criticism may make it less effective in improving student performance than other methods. Using multiple methods of delivering criticisms and feedback will improve its impact on students. And that's this week's teaching tip, brought to you by the Center for Inclusive Teaching and Learning here at UWSP. Remember, at CITL, we offer support for course design, learning activities, assessment, and pedagogy. Visit our website to schedule a consultation today.